Y'all, this is the Variety Kid, and y'all can probably tell it's late at night. In fact, it's 9:38 p.m. So, yeah, I was looking at my watch, which, I mean, that's actually a minute and a fraction slow, but however, I know it's 9:38 because it says 9:37, and based off of the second, I know it's 9:38. But anyways, alright, let's get into the video. Okay, so a few months ago, y'all probably knew this, it wasn't a super popular video, it got like, I don't really know. You know what? I'm going to use over a period of 7 months, which I mean, while all my other videos don't do great, this was on the lower side. But I mean, it still wasn't my least popular. But anyways, all right, let's get into it. Yeah, we're going to talk about the iPod Touch 7th generation, which I mean, I know I already did that, like I was saying. But however, today we're going to make a 2019 edition of the video, since like some of my features are really like good for 2019. Today we're going to start. So originally, I said I would do a 4.3 or 4.4 inch screen in roughly the same amount of size. I can't remember what the aspect ratio would be, but however, I don't know. I mean, actually, I realize now, considering screens are getting bigger and bigger. I think my mom's returning. For a moment, that startled me. I know it's nighttime. So I keep getting off topic. But anyways, yeah, we're going to do, if I haven't said it, I'm going to do a 5.33 inch screen with an 18 by 9 aspect ratio, which I know some phones have the 18.5 by 9 or 19 by 9, but I'd only do 18 by 9, and not to mention it would have a smaller screen. I don't know, I mean, it seems like iPod Touches are kind of meant to have smaller screens. Like, I couldn't really imagine an iPod Touch with, like, a screen as big as the iPhone XS Max. And I would make the display size 128.8 millimeters, so which that would make it around 5.07 inches, and since the screen height would be 4.77 inches, that would make it, the bezels 0.3 inches. So while it would be bigger than the bezels on the iPhone X, it would still be smaller than the bezels on even phones like the Galaxy S9. In fact, I'd say it would be like about half the size of the bezels on the Galaxy S9. It would have 326 ppi, which I would do higher, but considering that a 2018 iPhone XR that has only 326 ppi, I really wouldn't want to make it better in that department. So yeah, I'd only do 326 ppi. Sorry, pixel density fans, or whatever you call them. But, yeah, I do a 1100 to 1 contrast ratio. I know, I mean, I didn't mention this, and I probably wasn't going to add it if I were to did it in the 2018 one, because actually, I mean, the 2018 one was back in late June, so it was like right around 12 months, because it's January 30th as of the recording of this video, but this might have to go into tomorrow. But it would have a true tone display like the iPhone 8 and later do, wide color display like the iPhone 7 and later do. However, it would only have 600 nits maximum brightness instead of 625 nits on the iPhone 7 and later, so it would have a pretty good upgraded display. However, I wouldn't do the liquid retina display like on the iPhone XR. So, yeah, that's what I would do for the display. Okay, alright, then I would include the metal back and frame, so I wouldn't do a glass back. I would do, IP64 water and dust resistance, meaning that it would have the same dust resistance rating, which is what the first digit represents. However, the 4 would only mean that it would only be protected up to a splash. So, yeah. And then it would have, ion strengthened glass, if it weighs 110 or more, like the iPhone 6s and later do, not including the SE. And wait, I mean, actually, I actually was going to mention this at the beginning, but I would add Face ID, the not as good version. Face ID wouldn't be as good because instead of having about 30,000. Instead of it mapping out 30,000 dots, it would only map out 25,000 dots, so it wouldn't be as secure. I mean, it would still have 5/6 of the security, but it would be not as secure. So I mean, like I said, 5/6 of the security, or a little over 80% of the security, and it wouldn't have the true depth camera system, meaning it wouldn't have an emoji, and it wouldn't have nor warm emoji. It wouldn't have AR capabilities with the front camera. It also wouldn't have the ability to do things like prevent the display from timing out, or lower ring volumes while or lower ring volumes whenever you're looking at the screen. Now, so really the Face ID sensor would only be used for Face ID and not for anything else. And however, it still wouldn't work. However, unlike phones like the Galaxy Note 8, which failed miserably at Face ID, it wouldn't work when your eyes are closed, nor would it work when you're not paying attention. And and now next point is on to the rear and front camera. So I would include a 10 megapixel rear camera with an f2.0 aperture, which I mentioned last time. Oh yeah, and basically all the same stuff, dual LED flash, no OIS. And last time I said I'd include 720p up to 240 frames per second compared to just 120 on the older iPod Touch. And I'd include and 1080p at up to 60 frames per second instead of 30 frames per second. However, I might also include 4K at 30 frames per second and 1080p at 120 frames per second. However, with 4K at 30 frames per second, it would be disabled if there's less than 2 gigabytes of available storage. So yeah, and then with 1080p at 240 frames per second, the video would record in 720p at 240 instead of 720p at 120 instead of 1080p if there's 2 gigabytes of lesser storage. And I would probably I would probably make it clear to you that it's recording in 720p instead of 1080p. Okay, now I would also still in the same category. I would add live photos. I would also add the wide color capture for photos, but not live photos. So I might add portrait mode, but I wouldn't add portrait lighting. And due to it not having a secondary camera, it would only work with it would only work on human faces. And I would add augmented reality on the rear camera, but not on the front camera, like I mentioned earlier, similar to what the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus had. And then for the front camera, I would upgrade the front camera from 1.2 megapixels to 4 megapixels. It would still have the same f2.2 aperture. I might do retina flash, and I might do wide color for photos only, definitely not live photos. I would include 1080p at 30 frames per second, but also have the option of 720p, similar to the 10s, 10s Max, and 10R. But unlike the 2018 iPhones, I wouldn't include 1080p at 60 frames per second. If I haven't said it, I would still include live photos on the front camera. So you'll probably notice a different scene later in the video. But I don't know, it seems like I'm getting kind of tired. I mean, it's only 9:52. But however, I'm getting tired and I have some schoolwork to work on, so yeah, I might be ending this early. But however, all of it will still be in the same video. It's just it'll be recorded over a period of multiple days, similar to 2 of my videos I recorded earlier. Technically 3, one of which was taken down. And but anyways, with the battery, I would include a 1260 to 1304 milliamp battery. And 1304 represents 25% more than the 6th generation battery at 1043 milliamps. And I would not, and due to the metal back, it would not have wireless charging, but they wouldn't add fast charging in either. Sorry, Android fanboys. You know what? Look, I'm not trying to make fun of anyone. Seriously, this is all just meant to be a joke if anyone's offended. But anyways, yeah. Now to the processor. With the battery percentage. So with the iPod Touches, you haven't been able to see the battery percentage, which when I owned the iPod Touch from 2011 to 2015, I really didn't like that. I really didn't like that you couldn't see the battery percentage. I thought it was terrible. I mean, I still did. Even the 20 and 10% warnings just weren't anywhere near close to enough. So while I wouldn't include the battery percentage, I would, I'd tell you, I'd somehow let you know, which increment of 5% it's charged to. So, I'd show in the battery percentage, I'd kind of show less than 5, meaning 1 to 4, not 0 because there would be no screen, there would be nothing would show on the LCD if that was the case. But then a 5 if it was 5 to 9, 10 if 10 to 14, and so on. Yeah, but anyways, now onto the processor. So I would add the A12 Bionic chip, 2.45 gigahertz clock speed, so slightly underclocked compared to the 2018 iPhones at 2.49 gigahertz. And I would add 2 gigabytes of LPDDR4X RAM, which I said I would do that earlier. I mean, and actually in my original video, I said that I would only do an A10 Fusion, which, I mean, even though the A11 Bionic was out, I just only chose A10 Fusion. But however, I chose the A12 Bionic, which, I mean, actually, I mentioned this, but there was a rumor that the iPhone XR would only get the A10 Fusion, which, I mean, isn't too slow. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. But however, I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be good, like, over the years, because, like, it would be a lot slower. But, yeah, I mean, I know 2 gigabytes of RAM would fall short, but then again, it's only an iPod Touch, and it's just, I don't know, it's not carrying as big of a screen, and it's just, I don't know if 3 gigabytes of RAM would be needed. I mean, still, sure, the iPhone XR, and especially the XS and XS Max would have, better multitasking features with 3 on the XR and 4 on the XS and XS Max. I'm talking about RAM management in case y'all don't know. That amount of RAM, but however, 3 gigabytes of RAM might not be as necessary, so I mean, I'd only add 2. But however, I mean, I would add LPDDR4X, which, in case you're wondering, the iPhone 6s and the 6s series and the smaller iPhone 7, as well as the 7 Plus, but the 7 Plus came with 3 instead of 2, came with LPDDR4 RAM, while the 8 and 8 Plus came with 2 and 3 gigabytes respectively of LPDDR4X RAM. Okay, and then alright, we're actually almost done, so I might be able to get this done today, but I might not be able to get it uploaded. So yeah, okay, I'm looking at, so I'd add 32, 64, 128, and 256, which is twice as much as what the iPod Touch has at 16, 60, 32, 64, and 128. Okay, alright. You know what, there's one more thing I'm going to mention tomorrow and some other stuff, so, yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to end the video, but, yeah, bye. Now to the final thing, and also, we're going to have some things to discuss at the end a little bit, but however, so, I mean, this might make some people excited, so I would add a headphone jack and stereo speakers, so you would get the best of both worlds. I don't know how loud it would be. I know it wouldn't make it as loud as the 2017 iPhones, which were not as good as the 2018 iPhones, but still better than the 2016 iPhones. I would make it at least as loud as the iPhone 7, maybe a little bit more, but either way, still closer to the 2016 iPhones than the 2017 iPhones. And the stereo speaker wouldn't work in portrait orientation like at least the case on the 7 and 7 Plus. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, so I did a question of the video, but actually I'm actually not gonna do that anymore since it didn't really work out well. I don't know, I mean, the first one I did it on was Galaxy S10 expected features near the end of the video, so go check it out if you want to answer the question. And, but I mean, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you want to, and subscribe. I mean, I actually recently gained 3 subscribers in a day, and which was the first time in more than 6 months that it happened. It was about a little over a week ago. So yeah, thank you for that. And anyways, have a nice day. Bye.